Rain poured relentlessly over the mountains, turning the narrow trail into a slick, treacherous path. Alex pressed forward, each step a negotiation with mud and loose stones. Mist wrapped around the towering pines, and the world seemed to vanish behind a grey, humming curtain. Every sound was amplified, the snap of a branch, the gurgle of a swollen stream, the distant rumble of thunder. It was a forest alive with danger, yet in the silence between the storms, Alex felt an uncanny clarity. He remembered the words that had followed him for years, spoken by a man who had stared death in the face countless times: the line between life or death is determined by what we are willing to do. That thought anchored him as he moved, one careful footfall at a time, through the soaked undergrowth. Crossing the stream should have been simple, but the water was swollen and swift. He balanced on a series of slippery rocks, hands outstretched for stability. One rock shifted beneath his weight, sending a jolt of panic through his body. His heart hammered, each beat echoing the fragile rhythm of life itself. He caught a fallen branch, testing it before transferring his weight, and let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Survival demanded focus, not fear, and hesitation was a luxury he could not afford. Hours passed, and the drizzle turned into a driving rain. The mountain path narrowed, and a cliff appeared, veiled in mist and shadow. Looking down, Alex could not see the bottom. Rocks jutted like broken teeth from the grey fog, and the wind tugged at his body, testing his resolve. Fear whispered for him to retreat, to turn back, to save himself from what seemed inevitable. But the memory of those words steeled his nerves, reminding him that courage was not the absence of fear, but the will to act despite it. He inched forward, testing every patch of earth, every root and stone that might hold his weight. A slip would mean a plunge into jagged rocks, perhaps the end. Rain blurred his vision, and each heartbeat felt like a countdown. Sweat mixed with rain as he gritted his teeth, refusing to allow panic to take control. The climb demanded total presence, every muscle, every sense engaged in a delicate, vital dance with the mountain. One miscalculation, one hesitation, and the consequences were unthinkable. Yet each careful movement, each small victory over fear, brought him closer to safety. Night fell, shrouding the mountains in darkness. The rain slowed but did not stop, and the forest became a shifting maze of shadows. Alex found shelter under a large overhang, exhausted but vigilant. He lit a small fire, not for warmth, but for hope. The flames flickered, illuminating the raw determination in his eyes. Here, in the heart of the wilderness, he understood that survival was as much about mental endurance as physical skill. It was about refusing to surrender, about daring to take action when every instinct screamed to freeze. The following day brought new challenges. A swollen river barred the path forward. Logs he could have used to cross had been swept away. Yet turning back was no longer an option, retreat was itself perilous. He scavenged for materials, building a makeshift raft from fallen branches and vines. Hours of labor left him raw, his muscles screaming in protest, but his mind remained unyielding. Each swing of a branch, each knot tied, each careful push against the current was a test of patience, ingenuity, and willpower. He reminded himself again and again that action was survival, fear could only be conquered through decisive, intelligent effort. Days bled into nights, each moment a delicate balance of danger and perseverance. Hunger gnawed at him, fatigue threatened to overwhelm him, yet he pressed on. He foraged, he climbed, he waded through ice-cold streams, always calculating risk, always willing to do what it took to continue. He stumbled, he fell, scraped and bruised, but surrender was never an option. The wilderness did not forgive weakness, but it rewarded those who refused to yield. Finally, after days of relentless struggle, Alex crested the final ridge. The forest fell away into a valley bathed in sunlight. He paused, trembling, rain and sweat soaking through his clothing, body battered, spirit raw but unbroken. He looked back at the trail he had conquered, the streams, the cliffs, the night-long storms, and understood fully what those words had meant. The line between life and death, between giving up and survival, was defined not by luck or circumstance, but by the willingness to act, to endure, to refuse surrender even when every fiber of the body begged for rest. Alex descended into the valley, every step a celebration of courage, determination, and the sheer force of will. He carried no trophies, no medals, only the knowledge that he had faced fear and refused to be ruled by it. That knowledge was far more valuable than any physical reward. The wilderness had tested him, broken him, and remade him. And he knew, deep in his bones, that the lesson would remain forever. Life, at its core, is a series of choices, and the choices we are willing to make determine whether we merely exist or truly survive.